And we'll start straight away with the first of our 50 phrases, which you need to go from complete beginner to an advanced level of Spanish. So our first sentence is es posible. It's possible. It's possible. And you can see posible is very much like possible, except it's just got one S. And there are many, many words like this that are similar in Spanish and in English. So we could also have imposible. We could also have a different type of word, importante, which is like English as well. So we could have es importante, es posible, es imposible, all of those words that are very similar to English. So it's possible, es posible. Okay, next sentence, we're going to add in, we're going to take a word from our word bank down at the bottom. We're going to be taking the word ahora. Ahora means now. Ahora. The word hora is hour, the hour, like 1 hour, 2 hours. Ahora is now. So how would you say it's impossible now? It's impossible now. What would that be? Es imposible ahora. Es imposible ahora. That's our second sentence. Our third sentence, to say something's not, we just put no at the beginning. No at the beginning. So how would we say it's not possible now? It's not possible now. What would that be? No es posible ahora. No es posible ahora. And on to our fourth of our 50 sentences, our 50 phrases. From our bank, we're going to take for you, para ti. For you, para ti. How would you say it's possible for you? Es posible para ti. Es posible para ti. And of course, we could say it's not possible for you. No es posible para ti. And on to our fifth phrase. We're going to take the word así. Así means like this or like that. Así is like this, like that. How would you say it's not possible like that? It's not possible like that. What would that be? No es posible así. No es posible así. And of course, there could be multiple combinations. It could be it's impossible like that. Es imposible así. Okay, and moving on. From our bank, we're going to take the word something. Algo. Algo is something. Algo. How would you say it's something for you? It's something for you. What would that be? Es algo para ti. Es algo para ti. It's something for you. And incidentally, for me is para mí. So you can learn para ti, para mí. For you, for me. So para ti, for you. And on to our next phrase, we're going to use the word I need. So from our bank, out comes necesito. Necesito, I need. How would you say? I need something like that. I need something like that. Or I need something like this. Doesn't really matter. It means the same thing. I need something like this. You might be pointing to something in a shop that you need. So how would you say I need something like this? Necesito algo así. Necesito algo así. And next up, we're going to take what we call an infinitive verb. That means a to-do word, like to see, to be, to hear. And our infinitive verb is to eat. So as it comes from the bank, and it's comer, comer. How would you say, I need to eat now? I need to eat now. What would that be? Necesito comer ahora. Necesito comer ahora. And if we juggle things around, of course, we could say, I need to eat something now. Necesito comer algo ahora. Necesito comer algo ahora. And on to our next phrase. We're going to take the word I have. I have is tengo. Out it comes, tengo. I have. So how would you say, I have something for you? I have something for you. What would that be? Tengo algo para ti. Tengo algo para ti. And of course we could say, I have something like this. Tengo algo así. Tengo algo así. And with our next sentence, we're going to say, I'm cold. I'm cold. And the only thing is that in Spanish, they don't say I'm cold. They say I have cold. I have cold. So we need the word cold. Frío. Frío, as it comes from the bank. Frío. So cold, frío. So we're going to say I have cold. Or I'm cold. So how would you say I'm cold in Spanish? Tengo frío. Tengo frío. How would you say I'm cold now? Tengo frío ahora. Tengo frío ahora. So we've done 10 of our 50 phrases so far, and you can see that it's building in complexity and the amount that you're actually able to communicate in Spanish, but at the same time, you can see because of the way I'm sequencing it, because of the technique that I'm using, it's still simple and easy to follow. And this is going to stay like this all the way up to our advanced level phrases, right up to phrase 50. Okay, and for our 11th sentence, we're going to take a word from the bank, and we're going to take I want. Quiero. Quiero, I want. Quiero, I want. And how would we say I want to eat something? I want to eat something. What would that be? Quiero comer algo. Quiero comer algo. And we're going to continue with another to-do word. So we had I want to eat, and now we're going to use to buy. So to buy is going to come out. Comprar, comprar, to buy. And we're going to say I need to buy something. I need to buy something. Necesito comprar algo. Necesito comprar algo. And of course, as I mentioned before, we could move a lot of this around, and we could have, for example, I need to buy something like this. Necesito comprar algo así, for example. Okay, and so we just had to buy. I need to buy something. And we're going to see how to say to buy him or her something. To buy him or her something. The word for him or her is le. But when you add it to buy or to eat or whatever it might be, well, it probably wouldn't be to eat him or her, but for to buy him or her something, it actually sticks onto the word. So out of our bank is going to come comprarle. One word meaning to buy him or to buy her. Comprarle. So our 13th sentence is going to be I want to buy him something. I want to buy him something. What would that be? Quiero comprarle algo. Quiero comprarle algo. And of course that would also be I want to buy her something. Okay, next out is also going to be a him or her, and we're going to have to show him or her. To show him or her. So mostrar, mostrar is to show, mostrar. So to show him or her would be mostrarle, mostrarle, mostrarle. How would you say, I need to show her something? I need to show her something. What would that be? Necesito mostrarle algo. Necesito mostrarle algo. And our next him or her is going to be to make him or her. To make him or her something. The word to make, which is also to do actually, but here we're going to use it as to make. To make is hacer. Hacer, hacer. So to make him would be hacerle, hacerle, to make him, hacerle. So how would you say, I want to make him something? I want to make him something. Quiero hacerle algo. Quiero hacerle algo. And of course it could be it's to do with food. I want to make him something nice. Quiero hacerle algo delicioso, for example, delicious. Okay, and now on to sentence 16. Sentence 16. So we just said that hacer is to make, and we did hacerle to make him, to make her. I also said that hacer is to do as well. It means to make and to do. And our sentence is going to be, I'm going to do something. I'm going to do something. And to say I'm going to, we say voy a, voy a. So you just remember, I'm going to, voy a, voy a. So how would you say, I'm going to do something? I'm going to do something. What would that be? Voy a hacer algo. Voy a hacer algo. And sticking with hacer, sticking with to do, we've had to make, the same hacer, to make him or her. Hacerle, le is him or her. Lo, L-O, lo is it. So, to do it, or to make it, is hacerlo. Hacerlo, hacerlo. So how would you say, I'm going to do it now? I'm going to do it now. What would that be? Voy a hacerlo ahora. Voy a hacerlo ahora. And of course, don't forget, with all of these, we can just make a negative. I'm not going to do it now by putting no at the beginning. No voy a hacerlo ahora. I'm not going to show him. No voy a mostrarle. Whatever it might be. I don't need to buy him something. No necesito comprarle algo. Okay, and on to 17. If we want to say what, the word for what as in a question is just que, what? What do you want? Que quieres, for example, what? But when what is in the middle of a sentence, like I don't know what I'm going to do, that what in the middle of a sentence is lo que, lo que. So think of that little phrase, remember this little phrase, lo que, for what in the middle of a sentence. So how would you say, it's what I need, it's what I need. Es lo que necesito, es lo que necesito, it's what I need. And how would we say, it's not what I want, it's not what I want. What would that be? No es lo que quiero, no es lo que quiero. And of course we could always add on there, to do, it's not what I want to do. No es lo que quiero hacer, no es lo que quiero hacer, it's not what I want to do. And before we go on to our next sentence, I just mentioned the ProSpanish Levels 1 to 6 course, which is available for download at prospanish.co.uk. And this takes the complete beginner or near beginner up to a conversational level of Spanish in a quick and an easy way. Okay, so you'll have noticed that the verbs that we have done, which are I do something, all end in O. Quiero, I want. Necesito, I need. Tengo, I have. They all end in O. So if we want to say I something, in the present tense in Spanish, I do something, it ends in an O. So comer is to eat. Comer is to eat. So I eat, we just take the last two letters off, and it's como. Como is I eat. Como. Como. I eat. So ends in an O, like quiero, and necesito and tengo. And if we take another verb that we already know, to buy is comprar, comprar, to buy. And if we say I buy, same rule applies, ends in an O, compro, compro, just take the last two letters off, compro, I buy, compro. Okay, so let's try this in a sentence then. So let's start with I eat what I want. I eat what I want. What would that be? Como lo que quiero. Como lo que quiero. Como lo que quiero. And a new word out of the bank is I can. I can. And I can is puedo. 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 How would you say I buy what I can? I buy what I can. What would that be? Compro lo que puedo. Compro lo que puedo. And this rule about ending in O for I in the present, I do something, is true for the vast majority, but sometimes we have some changes. So, for example, the tengo, I have, comes from tener. But it didn't go from tener to teno. There's a little change, and it added a G in it to make it tengo, tengo. And there are a few of these, we call them go verbs, where it ends in go for I. So we've got tengo, and another one is from hacer. It's not hazo, but hago. Hago is I do or I make. Hago. So it still ends in the O, but it's slightly, there's an additional G in there. It's a go verb. So hago is I do or I make. How would you say I do what I can? I do what I can. What would that be? Hago lo que puedo. Hago lo que puedo. I do what I can. Okay, and on to our next sentence. And you'll notice that obviously the complexity is increasing, but the difficulty isn't really increasing. It's just that we're able to make more complex sentences now. But we can do this just by building up a little at a time. And out of the bank now is going to come I do it. I do it. I do it. And we know hago as I do. And we saw previously that lo is it. Remember we did hacerlo, to do it. The thing is, when it's not a to-do word, when it's I do something or you do something or he does something, we put the lo first. The lo first. And an easy way to remember this is if you know how to say I'm sorry in Spanish. I'm sorry in Spanish is lo siento. Lo siento. Lo siento. And that literally means I feel it. Lo siento. I'm sorry. I feel it. But you notice that the lo goes first. So it's I feel. And this happens in all cases where the verb isn't a to-do word, when it's not an infinitive is the technical term. So, I do it is lo hago. Lo hago. I do it. Lo hago. Obviously, I have it would be lo tengo. I need it. Lo necesito. I'm sorry. I feel it. Lo siento. How would we say, I do it like this? I do it like this. It could also be I do it like that. How would we say that? Lo hago así. Lo hago así. I do it like this. How would you say I don't do it like this? No lo hago así. I don't do it like that. No lo hago así. And next from the bank is the word for if. And the word for if is the same as the word for yes, sí. It just hasn't got an accent on it. yes, the si has an accent, but if si doesn't have an accent, but we pronounce it exactly the same. So that's if. How would we say, I buy it if I can? I buy it if I can. What would that be? Lo compro si puedo. Lo compro si puedo. I buy it if I can. Lo compro si puedo. And next, we've already learnt that mostrar is to show. Mostrar is to show. And I show, according to what we've learnt so far, should be mostro. Mostro. But in the present, for I, and for you, and for he, and for she, mostrar is irregular. So instead of going to mostro, it's muestro, muestro, muestro. And this sound in Spanish is quite familiar. If you think of bueno, bueno, that UE sound, bueno, muestro, muestro. So the O has changed to a UE, muestro. So I show is muestro. How would you say, I show it if I can? I show it if I can. What would that be? Lo muestro si puedo. Lo muestro si puedo. And for our next sentence, we need I bought. I bought. And we know comprar is to buy. And when we're saying I did something in the past, we need to use E with an accent. So I bought is compré, compré. I bought, compré. So how would we say, I bought something for you? I bought something for you. What would that be? Compré algo para ti. Compré algo para ti. And as we're talking about the past, we'll take another word out of our bank and we'll take out the word for yesterday. Ayer. Ayer. Yesterday. Ayer. How would you say, I bought something yesterday? I bought something yesterday. What would that be? Compré algo ayer. Compré algo ayer. And on to our next sentence. We saw before that using lo, it, as in lo siento, if it's not an infinitive, if it's not a to-do word like to buy, comprar, to eat, comer, then it has to go before the verb, not on the end. We saw that with lo tengo, lo necesito, lo como. And the same applies to all the other words like that. Le for him or her. If it was you, me, te, me, the same thing. If it's not an infinitive before. So, I bought him. Let's take that out of the bank. And le compré. Le compré. I bought him. How would you say, I bought him something yesterday? I bought him something yesterday. What would that be? Le compré algo ayer. Le compré algo ayer. And if you remember, to show was mostrar, but we learnt in the present, muestro. Muestro. It's irregular. Muestro. Now, verbs that are irregular in the present, it doesn't mean they are irregular in the past. So, what did we learn about the past? E with an accent, e. So, I showed, mostré. I showed him, le mostré. Le mostré. I showed him. How would you say, I showed him something? I showed him something. What would that be? Le mostré algo. Le mostré algo. And on to our next sentence. We learnt that e for the past to say I did something. And that's true as long as it's an AR verb. So the ones that we looked at so far for the past ended in AR. Comprar, mostrar. They ended in AR, the infinitives, the to-do words. And if it's not that, if it's not AR, then it ends in I. I with an accent. So I ate is comí. And of course, also you could learn all the other ones. Beber is to drink. I drank. Bebí. Aprender is to learn. I learnt. Aprendí. Vivir is to live. It's not an AR verb, so it's I ending. Viví, I lived. So, comí, I ate. And our sentence is, I ate something yesterday. What would that be? Comí algo ayer. Comí algo ayer. You could say, I ate it yesterday. Lo comí ayer. And for our next sentence, we need the word I did. So I did, the past of hacer, to do. You would think it should be hací. But as in most languages, the word to do, and I did, the past, is irregular, and it's irregular in Spanish as well. And when you want to say I did, or of course I made, it's the same verb in Spanish, it's hice, H-I-C-E, hice. So, how would you say, I did something yesterday? I did something yesterday. What would that be? Hice algo. I did something yesterday. And how would we say, I made it for you? I made it for you. What would that be? Lo hice para ti. Lo hice para ti. I made it for you. And we're going to take from the bank another word, another phrase that means for you. So we've learnt para ti is for you. And por ti is also for you. Para and por are two different ways of saying for in Spanish. And por ti, as opposed to para ti, por ti, means for you, as in on your behalf or because of you. So, for example, I made this for you is different from saying I did this for you. I did it on your behalf. I did it because of you. That's a different for you. So how would you say I did it for you? In that sense, I did it because of you. Lo hice por ti. Lo hice por ti. And for our next sentence, we need another irregular past verb, just like hice. And this one is I was able to, or I could, I was able to, and that's pude. And you'll notice it's like hice, it ends in an I, and there's no accent on it. So pude means I was able to, or I could. How would you say, I was able to do it for you? I was able to do it for you. What would that be? Pude hacerlo por ti. Pude hacerlo por ti. I was able to do it because of you, it could also be. And on to our next sentence. We need to use the word they bought. They bought. So we know that I bought is compré, and they in the past ends in aron. Aron. A-R-O-N. So a and a ron. Aron. So they bought is compraron. How would we say they bought something yesterday? Compraron algo ayer. Compraron algo ayer. They bought something yesterday. Obviously, they bought it yesterday. Lo compraron ayer, etc. And if we wanted to say they showed, mostraron. Mostraron. They showed. So, aron for the past. Next we need to say they ate. They ate. Now add-on for compraron applies to AR verbs, but when we're talking about a verb that's not and it doesn't end in AR, that means it ends in ER and IR, we want ieron. So they ate is comieron. They ate. Comieron. Obviously they learnt, aprender, aprendieron, etc., etc. So comieron, they ate. How would we say they ate what I bought? They ate what I bought. What would that be? Comieron lo que compré. Comieron lo que compré. And for our next sentence, we know that if, and for our next sentence, it's going to start with if. I'll just take it out again in case we've forgotten. And if is si. How would we say, if I buy something? If I buy something. Si compro algo. Si compro algo. If I buy something. And for our next sentence, we need the word that. That. Eso. That. How would we say, if I do that? Si hago eso. Si hago eso, if I do that. Now for our next sentence, we need the word bought, but not I bought, it's an imaginary bought. So for example, if we say, if I bought something, or if I bought that, then that bought isn't actually in the past, it's an imaginary bought. And to use the imaginary tense in Spanish, this is, we call it subjunctive. And the way we make this in Spanish is you have to start off with the they in the past, so compraron. You have to take off the ron and add a ra, and you end up with comprara. And that's the rule to make all of these imaginary subjunctive verbs. Comprara, bought in the subjunctive. So how would you say, if I bought that, what would it be? Si comprara eso. Si comprara eso. And if we were to say, if I ate that, if I ate that, I would, whatever it might be, if I ate that. Well, we need the imaginary, the subjunctive, ate. So we need to start off with they ate, comieron. We need to take off the ron and add a ra, and we end up with comiera. So if I ate that would be what? Si comiera eso. Si comiera eso. And this subjunctive is not used just for imaginary events. It has quite a few triggers, subjunctive triggers we call them. So if you want to say before something happened, we would also need this subjunctive. So before, let's take that out the bank. Antes de que, before. So how would you say before I ate something? Using the subjunctive, because antes de que is a subjunctive trigger. So how would you say before I ate something? Antes de que comiera algo. Antes de que comiera algo. And that concludes today's lesson. As mentioned before, if you're looking to become a confident and a competent speaker of Spanish, then go over to prospanish.co.uk, where you can download the full Levels 1 to 6 conversation course.